Okay, it's 2:30 and I'm going to kick off. So I'm going to start with this statement. The most important device is your teacher. And I'm going to explain over the next few minutes why I think Chromebooks can help um, your teacher. Your teachers are amazing. They make at least 4 interactions per child per lesson. That's 120 interactions. It's about the same amount of interactions as an air traffic controller. They're really busy, amazing people. And Chromebooks, I'm going to argue, are a fantastic way of helping your teachers stay amazing. I'm Steve Philp. I'm a Google certified teacher. I'm a deputy head of a primary school in Birmingham in the United Kingdom. I've been in teaching for about 20 years, helping teachers and teaching myself for that length of time. And I have been working with Chromebooks for about 4 years. So I know considerably more about teaching than I do about Chromebooks. But I'm hoping to talk about both and be reasonably convincing over the next few minutes. So I'm going to start off with why you should get Chromebooks into your classroom. I'm going to go on to how you can. I'm going to go on to how you can implement them. I'm going to finish off by talking about what you can actually do with your students. So first of all, why? Well, as I said at the start, your teachers are amazing. And we need devices in the classroom that can help your teachers be amazing, not stop them being amazing. Now, an example of when teachers have been stopped being amazing is in Los Angeles recently, when it's been well publicized. There's lots of articles on the internet about it. The Los Angeles district decided to buy one device for every child, an iPad with Pearson software on it. It was a very expensive solution, about $200 more than a normal iPad. The iPads were already out of date before they hit the classroom. And all in all, it was badly thought through. And it was an imposition on the teachers that has now stopped. I hasten to say, I'm talking about Chromebooks now, not iPads. iPads are a fantastic device that have been implemented brilliantly, and there's some great examples across the country. If you go to one-to-one-educate.org, you can find some fantastic examples there about how to implement, well, any device really, but iPads in particular. But what I'm talking about now is how you should not impose your technology on teachers. You should go with the fact that they're amazing and build on from that. An example in my own experience is going into the school where I'm currently at. There were several teachers there who really hated technology. And digging into the reasons why, I discovered that it was due to a government-funded project back in the year 2000 called NOF, which stood, I think, for New Opportunities Fund. And these teachers had been turned off technology because of NOF. It was an imposition. There was a kind of implicit demand that they would get to a certain level of IT skills because of the NOF training. And I spoke to one teacher, said, well, I never got to that level and they didn't sack me. Her attitude to teaching, she's now retired actually, her attitude to technology meant that she never used it in her classroom. So her children never benefited from good technology because she'd had such a bad experience. She'd had an imposition. And my passion is that teachers teach brilliantly and technology helps them. Now, I'm going to explain a bit more about how Chromebooks do that now. The first reason is because of cost. They're really cheap. So as an administrator in a school, I can afford to keep my staff ratios high because we buy Chromebooks. I'm not spending a lot of money on technician time. I'm not spending a lot of money on maintenance. I'm not spending a lot of money on teacher time. And for me, it really came to a head maybe 6 or 7 years ago when I decided, right, we need to sort this technology problem out where teachers in my school don't like it. We're going to get something mobile. We're going to get PC laptops in a trolley, push them into each classroom. It's going to be fantastic. But actually, the technician time was a lot. It was more expensive than I expected because we had to buy extra software and extra security software and virus scanners and all sorts of things like that. And then also the teacher time was the absolute killer. So it took us 2 or 3 minutes to start the set of computers at the start of each lesson. It took us maybe 2 minutes more when the odd computer didn't connect to the network, and then a further 2 minutes for them to get going. sometimes it could be up to 10 minutes before all the computers were on. And now 10 minutes doesn't sound like a lot of time, does it? You know, but in the middle of a busy lesson, 30 children, you know, you've got your behavior child and your SEN child all demanding your attention. 10 minutes is way too long. And what I found with Chromebooks is the 8-second startup has been absolutely brilliant for encouraging teachers that these devices are reliable. Because yeah, still these 1 or 2 of the devices in a set of 30 won't connect to the Wi-Fi properly. I once spoke to a Google engineer about it, and he said, oh, that means it's been caught in a partial subnet loop. I still don't know what that is, but whatever it is, it's something that happens to Wi-Fi devices where something doesn't connect. But the whole thing is the recycling of a Chromebook, 8 seconds off, 8 seconds back on, and the device is reconnected. It doesn't take hardly any time out of your lesson, and it's helped the teachers trust in the technology more. Back to the technician cost. I have a technician in my school. He doesn't spend very much time looking at Chromebooks at all. I think his biggest job was trying to get them to print. It took him a couple of afternoons. The rest of the time he spends keeping our management information system going, keeping our PC laptops going, keeping the remnants of our PC network going, installing apps on our iPads. He hardly spends any time on the Chromebooks. It's probably been 2 afternoons in the last year. So Chromebooks are undemanding. They're just there, and there's been a lot of talk certainly in the UK recently about traditional styles of teaching, progressive styles of teaching. Chromebooks support either. You don't have to be a progressive to use a Chromebook, because they can come into the classroom. You can just do research on them. You can do basic word processing on them. Or you can be really creative with them and have the children. You can facilitate children's learning. You can choose your style, and the Chromebook will support it. I think some technology solutions that we use demand that the teachers are more progressive thinking. And actually, looking at research, I'd say traditional teaching is still the proven method for raising standards in our classroom. Chromebooks support that. So moving on to how can you implement Chromebooks into your classroom? Well, there's 2 things that you need first, and that's Google Apps and Wi-Fi. So I've seen the stuff about how you can use Chromebooks without Wi-Fi. There are some online apps, and that's fine. It's fine if you've got good Wi-Fi access somewhere, but they talk about that really for personal use, for when somebody at a business is taking their Chromebook home and then keeping their settings on there. In a school, you really need good Wi-Fi to make your Chromebooks work. So if you're thinking about buying Chromebooks, make sure your Wi-Fi and your broadband speed are up to, you know, a good set of a good standard. And also, before I got Chromebooks into my school, I was using Google Apps for a full year. So teaching the teachers how to use calendars and Gmail, trialing Google Apps with one class before we actually got Chromebooks in. And that seemed to work really well. So that's part of how. That's the first thing you need. And after that, I think there's 3 levels that you can go to. So the first thing is you could go for just Chromebooks, where your Chromebooks, you open them up, they're just a browser, you log them on, and just like I'm on now, I can search the internet, I can find some educational games, I can go to websites that the teacher wants me to go to, and that's all can work very well. The second level to get to is where you buy the management console with Google Apps, and this allows you to make the Chromebooks more safe and more secure and more purposeful. So in my school, for example, I have the management console, and it effectively means I have 3 levels of security on each device. So what do I mean by that? Well, we have a local authority applied filter, which stops unsafe content getting through. On my Wi-Fi network, we use Meraki. We have a social media filter, which when the students access it, they cannot access social media, which is great because they're only primary age children. Social media is not allowed for them. The teachers can still access social media. At the Chromebook level, the Chrome management level, everything is directed to safe use, so the children cannot access malicious sites. Geolocation is turned off. Safe search on both Google and YouTube is enforced. There are various measures that I've put on the Chromebooks that you can do through the Chrome management console, them safe, and that's fantastic. And what it means is that I can send the Chromebooks home. There are 10 Chromebooks at home this weekend in different children's homes, and I can tell you that those Chromebooks are the safest device in those children's homes. Those parents at our school buy their children tablets and laptops, but the Chromebooks we send home are the safest. They're also purposeful. So, for example, the Year 4 teacher asked me last week, can you put this website onto the Chromebooks? And it was she sent me the link on an email. 2 minutes later, it was in the Chrome management console. And then the next time the Year 4 children opened up their devices, that website appeared. So the Chromebooks become a learning environment all in themselves. You do not need your own commercial learning environment if you're having Chromebooks, because the management console does it for you. You can customize the user experience. So another example is recently the reception teacher told me she was fed up of her children accessing Friv. I have to say I was quite proud of the children in reception, because for a 4-year-old to be accessing Friv, it shows a bit of initiative. But she wanted it blocked, so I blocked it from her children's websites and opened up friv4school.com, which meant that the children in her class could have the experience that she wanted as a teacher. And that's what the teachers see. They see that the Chromebooks are responding to what they want. They see themselves being in charge, so it makes them more empowered, and it makes them better teachers. It makes them more empowered to raise standards, which is a brilliant reason for getting the management console. The third level that I mentioned is to go bells and whistles and get a fantastic charging storage trolley. I use a SmartLine trolley, really expensive. It was probably, well, it's probably 75% of the cost of a classroom set of Chromebooks. It's a expensive solution, but it does mean that every morning I know that Chromebooks are safely charged. The previous trolley we had basically 30 chargers all plugged into a big 4-way, and it used to trip the power quite a lot. And then when we arrived in the morning, we'd find that the Chromebooks hadn't charged, and actually quite a lot of the heating system had switched off as well, which was a bit of a disaster. But now with this trolley, everything works really well. Bells and whistles, it's fantastic. Right, I'm going to finish off my my little presentation before we get to questions by talking a little bit about what you can do. Now, there are exhaustive lists out there about what you can do on a Chromebook. So I'm just going to talk about what we've done in my school, and I'm going to share my screen and just whiz through a little presentation that I've just made up. Okay, so Tim, I'm hoping that you'll tell me if you can't see the presentation. So what to use in a Chromebook then? Here's a few things. Well, the basic thing is Google Apps. So I'm hoping that in a moment, Ashfaq, who's got a Chromebook at home, I'll be able to go live to the website that he's editing at the moment. All those basic things come with Google Apps, and they're fantastic. Docs, Drive, spreadsheets, Gmail. It's the basic tools for doing everything you need. The children in my school are particularly fond of making slideshows. In fact, this is yesterday's screenshot of what Ashfaq was doing. He's making a show to explain how to use Scratch, and he's going to be sharing that in assembly for the Year 3, 4, and 5 and 6 children on Thursday, I'm hoping. So he's going to go through that presentation. He's been preparing a script, I think, over the weekend, and I'm hoping to go live to that in a couple of minutes to see what he's doing online at the moment. While I was looking at that this morning, I noticed that Ali Marie in Year 5 had been busy making her own presentation, and she wants to share this in assembly as well, because she shared it with me. And you can see there, her and Lauren and Shanicia and Ariadne have been making a presentation about Zoella. Now, I have to admit a certain ignorance here. I don't know who Zoella is, but I'm going to learn about it a bit more when Ali Marie shares her assembly in a few days' time. This has been a great empowering for the children, enabling them to to take ownership of creating their own content, really. So what else do we do? It's a great tool for delivering content. Here's Google Classroom in action, and here's me pushing out the Khan Academy work to my little group of 7 children. And this is a screenshot from earlier today for their homework for the weekend, and you can see, unfortunately, that 7 of them, all 7 of them, in fact, have not done it. So I'm hoping that we'll have a better response by Monday morning, especially as it's SATs next week. Something that I talked about, customizing the user experience for each group. The older children in the school all see this when they open up their Chromebook. It's a little site that I made which links to all the things that the teachers want them to quickly access. It's our kind of student zone, and you can see a range of different things here, some of which I'm going to talk about over the next couple of minutes, because some of it's content delivery. I mentioned Khan Academy, great tool. We also use BrainPop, fantastic little videos that lead to a quiz. Education cities are a big thing at our school. Lots of children enjoy using that. And finally, something we've been experimenting recently, a company called Zish, a brand new company, and what they're looking at is connecting new startups. So not the big companies like Khan Academy or BrainPop or Education City, but new educational startups. They're looking to connect them with a kind of dashboard, and they've got a product called Quizalize, which is a really good bit of quizzing software, which we've been trialing. So a very exciting prospect there. Onto computer science, and a bit strange, I guess, to use a Microsoft product, but I'm a big fan of touchdevelop.com, and it works brilliantly on Chromebooks. The children can sign in with their Google Apps account straight onto touchdevelop.com and here's an example of a bit of logo in action. It's really good, really excellent piece of software that children can access straight away. On the document that goes with this presentation, I have shared various other links that we use, but I'll just talk about a couple of them now. A less glitzy one perhaps is something that this chap Joshua Bell made on GitHub. A really brilliant, simple logo interpreter, and it's well worth a little look at, because you can get children to hack the logo that has been made and look at what happens when they change the numbers. Lovely bit of computer science in that. We also use Chromebooks for creating art and music. We use Pixlr, Sumo Paint. We can access Isle of Tune, really great for music, and just discovered something called Soundtrap, really good bit of music editing software that we've been having a go at. It's all fantastic stuff. Back to finishing off then. So there's some of the things we've got about Chromebooks, some of the things that we've been trying to do, some of the what. And as I said, there are huge exhaustive lists out there of things that you can do with Chromebooks. We only have 100 Chromebooks in my school. There are schools out there where they've gone one-to-one. There are schools with 6,000 Chromebooks in a district. They've got lots of experience at that. So there's lots of resources out there where you can find good apps for students to use. But the key thing comes back to me. It's about empowering teachers to feel confident with the technology in their room. Let them get on with their normal practice that is already brilliant, because I've got amazing teachers in my school, and then the technology supports them and they grow in confidence in that way. So a bit of time for opening up to questions now. We've got 10 minutes left, so if anybody wants to post questions in the Q&A, I think there should be a box, maybe it's in the top part of your screen. If you click on that, ask me a question, or I can, Tim, if you'd like to ask me a question as well, just fire away. Any questions?
Okay, can you hear me, Steve? I've just unmuted my mic.
Yeah, I can.
Right, great. Thanks very much for that. That was fantastic. That's exactly the kind of thing I was hoping it was going to be. You've given me lots of really useful information there. I mentioned before in a chat that we've had that I've not used the licenses with the school, that we've just set some Chromebooks up where we've set them to user. And it's interesting. How often do your children take their Chromebooks home then?
Okay, so I've got a group of target children in year 6 who I'm desperate to reach level 4, and they take them home all the time. And I use Google Classroom and Khan Academy I'm really trying to push their standards. We've got SATs next week, and it's been 14 weeks of just sheer intensity, Chromebook maths madness, basically. So that was a bit of a desperation with them. And then there are a few children in year 6. I mentioned I've got no, I don't know if I did mention I've got like junior technicians in school who are brilliant at all sorts of HVAC, who I mentioned earlier, has asked me on Friday, can I take a Chromebook home this weekend? And because I want to do my presentation on it. I said, absolutely fine, off you go. So his parents have kind of already signed an agreement with me that, you know, when he wants to, he can. So for some children it's flexible, and for some children it's me kind of demanding that they take them home so they can do more Khan Academy work. In fact, if you don't mind, I'll just have a quick screen share and see if Ashfaq is on live so we can see what he's doing. Hang on a sec.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so you can see this is his presentation. And he's not on it live at the moment. He did tell me he was going to the library today to print off his scripts because he's made scripts for the 3 people who are presenting it. But unfortunately, he's not on live at the moment, so I can't show that. But he has taken his Chromebook home to do that this weekend.
So you mentioned about using some of the safety features there in the management console, and one of the things that I've noticed, and I've maybe had a little bit of a problem with, is the safety mode in YouTube. I found that it can be incredibly restrictive and block out so much that I've had to lift it off. An example, we've got a small number of Chromebooks in the office where I work, and I've had to take that off because it stopped us being able to use it. Do you find that you can still use YouTube for the sites that the children need to access on them?
It's a good question. I mean, I only have the safety mode on for all the children at the moment, and YouTube's a bit like the Friv example in reception that I mentioned earlier, in that there are some children and some classes who get into bad YouTube habits, and you know, maybe there's a slightly less intense period of term and they all start going on YouTube, and sometimes that can lead to them watching things that are slightly less appropriate. So occasionally teachers say, oh, can you actually block YouTube? And so I'll block it entirely for a little bit. I've had the YouTube safety mode on for these 2 terms, and nobody has kind of complained about it yet, and I'll just go by what the teachers say, really. If a teacher says I can't access what I want, then I'll go with that. But what I generally find is teachers want YouTube to show good resources, and children want YouTube to listen to pop music while they're doing the work. So because of that, then I'm not too bothered about blocking it, but I'm easy either way, really. And at the moment it's blocked and nobody's complaining.
And how young do children use Google Apps in your school? Actually use Docs and Drive and Sheets and Slides? How young are the children that use those features?
So it's been moving down a year every year since we had Google Apps. So we got Google Apps first in 2010, and we only used it with year 6. This week, actually, I've been training year 1 how to use Google Slides, and they've been making their own simple presentation, taking photos of themselves, writing a sentence about themselves, taking a photo of their friend. It's a great thing about a Chromebook because it's a device with a camera on. They can easily take a photo, put it straight into the presentation, and write a couple of things and make quite a nice presentation straight away. Currently in year 1 they don't have individual logins, so reception year 1 they've got a class login, and from year 2 they have like their own login. But as soon as they get their whole login, that's a whole kind of there's a 6-week process of helping them spell their name properly when they log in, and remembering their password and everything like that. Tim, I've got a question that's come up from Lucia Silver Clark. I'm just going to answer that if I can. So pricing, how much is it costing a Chromebook for schools? Well, I'm always surprised by Chromebook pricing. when I first bought them, they seemed really expensive, about £400. I don't know what that is in dollars per device. That was 4 years ago. I bought some 2 years ago, and they were 260. And then the year after that, the £260 models had reduced to 160, and the same model came with a touchscreen for £260. So I had this choice then, because I was thinking about getting some iPads. I had a choice of getting iPads that we'd never used that much before. We have a few in school for about £250, £260, or touchscreen Chromebooks for £260 that we're familiar with, and I ended up going for Chromebooks. I've just had an email last couple of weeks from the people that we use, Sam Winter from Cloud Technology Solutions, saying he's got some HP models for £120 each. And to me, that's, even if they break in 2 years, that's an amazing price to get a device into school. Because I was looking at one point about getting a set of 30 devices for £12,000. Now I'm looking at getting a set of 30 devices for £4,000, and what that does to our budget is just releases it to spend it on staffing. So I hope that answers your question, Lucia. It's cheaper and cheaper all the time, and there's some really great options as well. So I've seen that there's a Lenovo one with a camera that you can move in both directions. Looks like a fantastic option.
I think one of the things, Steve, as well, is that the build quality on the Chromebooks is fantastic. We've got some HP Chromebooks, and the nearest thing I can compare them to is a MacBook Pro in terms of the rugged, the quality of the microphone, the quality of the camera, the keyboard, the fact the keyboard's in lowercase. It's just a wonderful device. It's really put together well.
Yeah, I really agree. I was just looking at that with the Year 1 children this week. I've not worked with them before, and I have to admit, I find working with very young children a little bit tricky at times. It's not my normal comfort zone. And when I saw that, little things like, as you say, they've got lowercase letters on the keys, it just makes such a difference, because the children are straight in, they're using their phonic knowledge straight away, and it's a fantastic thing. I can't comment on the Mac build quality. I've never quite been able to afford a Mac myself, sorry.
One of the things we've used in school as well that I think works really well on Chromebooks is J2E. I know that there are, one of the great things about J2E is it's designed for primary, and the suite of tools that you get there, very much like Texties, if you ever used Texties before, but with lots of other built-in features. And there's also something for early years for, I don't know what the age range is. Is it K to 1 to 2 in America? The very younger children, and it's got lots of features that are similar to Google Apps, and it works really well on a Chromebook. So you can share, and edit on a device on a document at the same time as other people. You can make something and share it with the whole class, and it works really, really well on a Chromebook. I think it complements Google Apps very well.
Yeah, great. I've seen J2E a couple of times, and I've kind of flirted with getting it into school. I definitely would get it if it was like single sign-on with Google Apps, but because it's like a separate layer of login, and I'm already teaching the children how to use Google Sites and things like that, I haven't quite gone for it. But it is, Google Sites and things can be a little bit clunky at times. They work great on Chromebooks. But as you say, J2E is a fantastic solution. I agree. I'm going to call it a day there, I think, because we're at 3 o'clock. So it's time for me to finish broadcasting. Please ask me questions. There's a follow-up document on the Google Edu on Air site, so you can get in touch with me via that. Ask me more questions, and there should be a way of asking questions that I can follow up at a later date if any come in. So thank you for listening. And I'll just take this one question from Brigitte, if I can. You mentioned there was little maintenance involved with Chromebooks. We currently have iPads and are considering Chromebooks as additional devices. Would you say there's less maintenance with Chromebooks than with iPads? Okay, so I don't have loads of experience of this. And when I bought iPads, I only bought 9. And I think it's not really fair to do a comparison with 9 iPads and 30 Chromebooks, because you don't have the kind of whole one-to-one kind of mass scaling up thing that you need. I'd say that now with iPads, because you can access Google Drive and iPad really well, and Google Classroom, that iPads are just as good with Google Apps as Chromebooks. And so, but I think you need something to go through it. So whether you're using Dropbox to share files, or you're using Edmodo, or you're using Google Apps, you need something where you can kind of store your content and deliver your. So that's where all the teacher time is lost. I think it's having that kind of common storage place. So if that makes sense, Bridgie, I don't have much experience of how easy it is to push apps out to iPads. My technician, when we've got iPads, uses our Meraki thing to push iPads out, iPad apps out. So I can't really answer that very well, but maybe somebody who's got more experience could follow you up on that at some point. Okay, thanks very much, everybody. Thanks for watching, and hope the rest of Google Edu on Air goes really well.